a good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peter Will! Villa in the lead!
Hello, good evening, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe. Do what you can to help me to the road to 2K. Make sure to give me a follow on all socials. Follow me on Spotify, Apple and Amazon Music as well. Make sure to smash the likes on this video. Let's spread awareness and do share muscular dystrophy. On tonight's show, I'm joined by my special guest, Harry Scarfe, who is the host of Scarfey Spurs Talk. Harry has previously been on my show many times. Last night to the Premier League, it finished in a stalemate at Selhurst Park. Aston Villa missed the opportunity to go from Manchester City, but we got a point and we moved on. But on this podcast, we focus our attention on the FA Cup third round. This is the match preview. Tottenham versus Aston Villa on Saturday is a 5:45 p.m. kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. FA Cup is back. The competition returns. Aston Villa are hoping to go one better this season. Last year, Aston Villa lost to Crystal Palace in the semi-finals. And also, Aston Villa have not won the FA Cup since 1957, which is a very long time, especially a club of Aston Villa size. Great time of the show, Harry.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Happy New Year to you and to everyone listening. And it's always a pleasure to come on this channel. I've had the privilege of being on, as you said there, many times. So I enjoy it every time. Thank you for having me. I say it every time. You are an inspiration. So honestly, really appreciate you allowing me to come on and talk to you. I'm looking forward to tonight.
Actually, Harry, watch a little bit of the Bournemouth and Tottenham game. I did say a great goal by Palmeiras, acrobatic goal.
Yeah, it was a great goal, but not very good from Tottenham, if I'm honest with you. It's one of those where it's another defeat for Spurs in the league. It puts pressure on our manager, Thomas Frank. But I just think fine margins cost Tottenham in that game. I think lapses in concentration and poor marking for the first two goals. I think also, I just think we played well, but it's just those fine margins. The turnover possession, we're losing possession too easy. I think Thomas Frank will be under pressure, of course, going into this game. You guys. He did, didn't he? Yeah, you're right. He did look frustrated. He looked kind of shot almost, like something had hit him, clearly struggling to cope with what's going on at the moment. So he's under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of boos every week at the moment as well, in particular the away end, but also when home games with home fans. And it's not nice to see. I'm behind him because I don't think the manager's the problem at Tottenham. It's a top-down approach. The problem is at the top. Lack of backing. It does. Yeah, you're absolutely. Yeah, Chad, you're spot on. And, they haven't done enough, in my view. Haven't replaced Son from last summer. We haven't replaced Brendan Johnson yet this window. We currently have no fit right winger. Yeah. In terms of attacking positions, really bleak. No real attacking quality or depth. So we're not in a good place. Of course, he should be doing better. Frank should be doing better. He will know that. I think fine margins is costing us. I would give him the benefit of the doubt, and I would give him a January window, but that seems quite unpopular at the moment within the Spurs fan base.
Commodities, you haven't got that good structure in place. And like you need that, and also it's a funny back your manager, Thomas Frank. I still think, you need to give him time to get behind. If you look in the past with Tottenham, not the manager, you didn't give time. I don't think it's like cost you. Look, Nuno, for example.
Absolutely. You're spot on.
Yeah. So we'll talk about Villa's game like last night. So I'm not sure you saw in the highlights. But what was your thoughts about that Crystal Palace game?
I think overall, it's not a bad draw for you guys. Of course, the results of Crystal Palace haven't been fantastic recently, but they still are a good side. They've already strengthened in the early days of the January window, bringing in Brennan Johnson from my club, Tottenham. That is, I'm not just saying this is a Tottenham player, but for Palace, that's a decent signing. Let's just say it's a fairly big name coming in, and it's good business. It's back in the manager, and I think this is what I call the calm before the storm. Firstly, for Crystal Palace, before they lose Glasner, before they lose Mark Gahey, before they lose Adam Walton. And, they won 2 trophies, really. One big one, of course, under Glasner. And it's sad to see where they are now. But they played well in this game. So did you guys. I thought maybe a draw was fair. If anything, you deserved to win it. I thought you looked good. And big opportunities in the game where, goal line clearances of Palace, Lacroix, Gahey, individually. Ollie Watkins shoes.
Watkins, he had a few chances.
Yeah. So I thought you edged it for me. But in the end, I think when you go to Selhurst Park and get a draw, I don't think it's bad. Of course, you needed to, of course, go back a couple of weeks. Defeat, as we know, to Arsenal was frustrating. You responded well with a win. Again, you wanted to make sure that that win continues, or you don't lose again. Put it that way, and you made sure of that. I thought played well. So Emery, will be happy with what he's seen. He's been really good this season. It's easy to look at that Arsenal game and go, I didn't expect to lose 4-1, but I think you've got to focus on now as a team, you're playing well, and January window is the perfect time to improve on what you've done already. I'm not sure about Villa's plans or who they're in talks with, but interesting to see who you bring in. But no, I thought you played well in the game, and surprising there's no goals either way. Huge opportunities in the game, particularly for Villa.
Does it give me the opportunity to go above Manchester City? They drew to Brighton last night. But even so, we're in a great position. I don't think we can really cement ourselves in those Champions League places.
Definitely.
Never put it to Man City.
It's impressive. It's really good.
And we struggle, though. I think that game at Selhurst, we struggle to break through. I do think the way that Villa set up with Emery, that suits Crystal Palace. What they know what to do is like low block. And a few times with Brennan Johnson, they got us on the counter attack. And that seems to work for Crystal Palace. But when they play Aston Villa, because it's a bit of a bogey team of ours. No matter what team Crystal Palace put out, we seem to always struggle against Palace.
Strange. Yeah.
Because like all teams, though, we all have those bogey teams. Every team has them.
You do. Yeah, and as you said, Palace have beat you before, haven't they? 3-0, etc. And you really struggled against them last season.
To win the game, though, I'll talk about some positives. Last night, Victor Lindelof and Ezri Konsa were absolute rocks at the back. And look, Lindelof, he's done well to step in since Paul Torres' injury. And I think Lindelof should be spoken about a lot more. What he's done, we're completely solid. As well, physically, also about Lindelof. He's physically strong. And his long range passing as well. I like about him as well.
He's good.
And he brings sort of that experience. Even though he played for Man United for a few seasons. He's a Swedish international. So he's a good second choice. When Torres isn't playing. It really shows like squad depth. The quality of squad depth we got as well. Look at the depth of the squad. It definitely has improved the strength of it.
Good signing.
And also, I think with Lindelof, he has actually formed a good partnership with Ezri Konsa.
Yeah, he looked good at the back with both of them. I think Lindelof, just to add there, has been an excellent signing for you. It makes sense. And, he's a player that got a lot of criticism at Man United. And at the time, United had a bad back line, but I don't think he was the problem. He's proved he's a good defender. I think the one that really impresses me, though, with you in the back line is, you mentioned him, I think there, Ezri Konsa, because he can play centre back.
Yeah.
Prime position, but also can do a really good job at right back. I think he's
Yeah.
fantastic for England. He's great for you guys. I think he's a really, really good player that just simply isn't spoken about enough. But yeah, that partnership of him
Well,
and
he's
Victor Lindelof,
he's
good.
versatile.
He is. It's true.
And you see that England, the World Cup, I think the best defensive partnership in England is Ezri Konsa and Mark Gay, I think.
Totally agree. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
Those two cool. That would be the choices. In that team
Agree.
sheet, they should be picked.
Absolutely. Spot on.
There's so much in that Aston Villa couldn't put a cheeky bid in for Mark Gay.
Oh, yeah.
Because him and Ezri Konsa have got understanding of each other's game.
It's true. And you need that, don't you, when you play together as centre backs? You have a good understanding. You've got a good partnership.
Yeah. And going back to Ezri Konsa, he's always consistent. And he's reliable, Mr. Reliable, I think.
Definitely. Very good player.
And he's played for Villa for a number of seasons now.
And always played well when he's got better, I think, with age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, did he go back to the games against Crystal Palace? I think the likes of Will Hughes, he completely bossed the midfield for Crystal Palace. Sort of Adam Walter and Hughes. They sort of run the midfield. That's what made it a bit difficult for us, I think. But luckily, they couldn't capitalise on it. And in the game as well, I think Morgan Rogers was kept quiet. Palace did a good job to mark him out the game. Rogers, he was involved, but he sort of wasn't as effective as he usually was. But I did like Rogers there.
He's had a great
Yeah.
season, hasn't he? What a player.
He keeps improving.
Yeah, very bright, talented player. And I remember when he played together, it was with Brendan Johnson, I think it was, at Bristol City, and what good partnership. And the point is that Rodgers has come on leaps and bounds, and I think he's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Huge goals he scored for you this year as well. Just away from his performances, it's that impact on the pitch that matters. The GA, as they call it, the goals and assists. The goals have been there. I mean, he gets an assist most weeks, and when he does score, they are some screamers. So, of course, you can always keep improving. There's another level that you can get to where he's scoring every week, and up here, sky high. I do think he's your most important player. Yeah,
I think he can get something.
Yeah, definitely. Watkins has improved. Well, I think not improved is the wrong way of putting it. I think he's maybe proved how important he is to Aston Villa. When you haven't had him, you just lacks that physical presence and that movement that Watkins brings. He's a clever striker, not always clinical, but he's a very clever player. You've got him in your background there. Ollie Watkins, another player you also got in your background is Yuri Tielemans, who's a great player. We can step into attacking midfield, so playing the 10, can easily sit and dictate in a 6 or primarily an 8. I think he's best at. So players like that are key for Villa. Rodgers, Watkins, Tielemans, they're the reason you're thriving. And someone who isn't spoken about enough, if you don't mind me mentioning, Chad, is Boumba Kamara. I think he's a great player.
I agree.
Was Eben, and I just think you really miss. Well, I think you did miss him at the Emirates. Of course, Matty Cash as well. Cash gets stuck in. I don't think he's the most talented Cash, but he's hard working. Again, you need that consistent hard working player. But Kamara for me, I think he's really technically gifted, and I think him and Nana, of course, is good as well. But Kamara is probably one of my favourites in midfield for Villa.
I mean, Kamara, it's very important to the way Aston Villa play, and not just his defensive attributes. He can also push further forward, and he's like a strong physical player. He protects that back four. And you can really see when the likes of Kamara isn't playing, you can see there's a big difference.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree.
And to them in Kamara is one of the most underrated players. You know, Aston Villa say he is quite underrated.
I'd say they're probably the most underrated, in my opinion, as an
Yeah,
outsider.
yeah.
You'll know more than me.
Yeah. I like his defensive attributes. Like he's not afraid to like get stuck in. Also, I like that work in the game as well. Which doesn't get noticed. That side of the game doesn't always get noticed.
Mm.
And winning the ball back for his team with like his crucial interceptions.
Yeah, very key.
Yeah. I'm talking about the game. I'm touching about the game as well. That Marco Bizot stepped in really well for Martinez. He's been a decent backup. So when Bizot comes on the pitch, I don't actually feel worried.
He's a good goalkeeper.
You need a solid number two. It's important to have a solid number two.
Yeah, he's been good, and I know Unai Emery spoke highly of him, hasn't he? In the past, he's always looked good for me, and I see as an outsider, watch him play when Villa play, which of course isn't a lot, but at times when Martinez has been out and in other competitions other than the Premier League, you see him a little bit more, and he looks good. I think Martinez is a fantastic goalkeeper. Again, he can improve his game. There, some bits in terms of concentration, but he is a world-class keeper, so it's very hard for a Villa number two to, get anywhere near. But I think Bissot is a very safe pair of hands. He's a great backup goalkeeper, as you said there, in terms of someone that probably is not going to be the number one, while Martinez is here, but a very good number two to have that you can rely upon. Anything goes wrong or is needed across, different competitions.
Good in saying that, like, when we scouted for him, but they actually looked at his data, which sometimes is an effective approach. And the scouts, they got it spot on when they signed Bizot. When we had Robin Olsen, it was different then. Like we always felt like we're going to lose the game. But no, at least he steps in. But you feel calm. He's got a calming influence.
100%.
But going back to the game, we get 1 point. As we move on from it, it's a 1 point gain. And against Crystal Palace, I haven't got the best record at Selhurst. But it's an improvement that we didn't lose. You go back to last season, we might have lost that game.
Agree.
Just showing that this Villa team's come a long way.
It's doing really well. Credit to Unai Emery and credit to the Villa players and, of course, the fans as well for getting behind the team and showing that unreal level of support.
So let's talk about FA Cup action. So what are you expecting from Saturday?
Good question, Chad. I'm not expecting too much at the moment because Spurs are not in a good place, unfortunately, really. 14th in the Premier League table, pressure on the manager. Of course, fans will be reactionary, and I don't think things are quite as bad as some people make out. Having said that, we finished 17th last year if you put the Europa League aside, which was paper over cracks. So I do have concerns about us. So I do think we are already, unfortunately, a mid-table club at the moment without an identity. You, on the other hand, are on the up. We're on the down. You're doing very well. And, high-flying Aston Villa, I like to refer to you as, and playing some good football, where you deserve to be, if not higher, if we look at the league. And I think you're doing a fantastic job as well, as we see, in Europe. I think you're doing well there. I just think in this game, I'm worried as a Spurs fan what can happen. I'm hoping that you rest players, because Unai Emery likes to keep a fairly consistent 11.
Emery, I think what he'll do in this game, he'll keep the squad fresh. I do expect a bit of rotation. The likes of Sancho, Bogard, and Daniel Marlon, I think they'll feature.
Yeah,
Because
they,
over the next
Mark.
few weeks, I did say
Mm,
that we've got a lot of congested fixtures. We've got the FA Cup, we've got League, Europa League. We've got a lot of fixtures coming up the next few weeks.
I thought, yeah, for Villa, I mean, I was going to ask you, and you kind of said it there. I was going to say, is it the right type of game for Donnell Marlin? But I was going to say Sancho, but of course, he's got more minutes recently, but again, probably still applies. People like that, of course, you said there, Bissot coming in as number 2. But I think you have some good squad depth, but again, I think that's credit mainly to the manager and what he gets out of them. So he can
Yep.
look at these players like Tielemans and go, in an Emery system, he can play 2 or 3 different positions comfortably if needs be, probably on the bench for this game, you assume, but can come in and step in and steady the ship if needed, help the team, get in front or protect the lead, whatever it may be. That's the thing. So Tielemans as a player is applicable for everything. But Villa have to be confident going into this game. Tottenham's home form is dreadful. And when I say dreadful, I'm talking, 5 or 6
Aston
wins
Villa.
only last year at home.
We've got a great record at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Since it's opened, you absolutely have.
So that will come into it. So I think going into this game, in the dressing room at Aston Villa, we're still going to have that belief and confidence there. So no matter what team you put out, it's all going to be in the whole squad, really.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Also, it shows just see what other players can do. But the other thing I will say about Emery is, I think maybe in the Premier League, obviously, that's the first priority, I think. I think maybe Europa League, I think he'll take seriously. Also, maybe the FA Cup. That'll probably be third in the pecking order, I think. But I'll still want us to have a good go at that competition. Because I think I'd like us to win a trophy this year.
Yeah, you deserve to.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
It's sort of been too long. I think 1957. That was the last time that we won the FA Cup. And we were disappointed last time. Also, we got beaten to Crystal Palace in semi-final, so I'm sure Unai Emery is determined to put that right this time.
Yeah, I'm sure he will be. And yeah, I back you guys in this game as a Spurs fan. As I said, you good form, good feel, vibe around the club. You're playing good football. You're generally speaking, exclude Arsenal, get results, and regularly as well. You're on an incredible run, of course, before that Arsenal game. So and you can go on that run again. I have full confidence in the Villa side. And imagine you bring the right signings in, the right bodies, the right names, the right positions in January. You can just go to another level, which for me means second or third. I think that's genuinely achievable for Aston Villa. Hey, pain to say as a Spurs fan, I think it is Arsenal's title to lose. So I think for anyone that in and around City, Villa, I don't really know who else you count, Liverpool and Chelsea, other clubs like that far too far away. But and the Arsenal
We're
got
in the
to really throw it away.
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone was going to, if I'm being honest with you, Chad, if anyone was going to challenge Arsenal, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd back Aston Villa out of all of them. I think City are too weak defensively, whereas Villa are strong defensively. They also cause problems in attack. They've got a great midfield. Villa have got the balance, whereas City, they signed Semenya, which means boom, great attack. Semenya, Haaland, all these players that could list for ages, Foden, Doku, etc. Midfield's not bad either. Bernardo Silva, Gonzalez, whoever they've got in there.
They've got a few injuries there at the moment.
I was going to say, yeah, you're right. They've got a few injuries, of course, in the midfield position as well. You mentioned there, you're right. A lot of injuries in that position in particular. But defence for me is where there's an area of concern. Ruben Dias being out, I think he was and still is their best defender. I think, Donnarumma, of course, is good, but I think the 4 defenders he's got in front of him, I'm not going to say they're all 4. That's not fair at all, but they're not City level, in my view. They're not what City have been used to. And I think they're very vulnerable defensively. Of course, conceded against Brighton. And Brighton really had 1 or 2 attacks and scored from one of them. And the other one they did have, they nearly scored from. So City need to sort it out defensively because it's going to cost them. Bringing in Semenya means they are stronger, though, in attack in terms of quality and in terms of depth.
And being a Tottenham fan, I bet you don't want Arsenal to win the league, obviously.
Of course, you're absolutely right. Obviously not. If you guys can mount a challenge, somehow win it, imagine that would be incredible. But I believe in being honest. I do think it is their year, and I very much worry about them as well in the Champions League. I mean, the thought of them potentially winning both is absolutely scary. When Tottenham, at the moment 14th place and going nowhere. I don't think about Arsenal all the time. I'd rather focus on my club. A lot of fans do, and it's pressure, isn't it, on Thomas Frank? It's pressure on Tottenham when you've got your rivals who are doing 10 times, 20 times better than you. It just adds that pressure. Adds the
Arsenal
anger.
this season.
Yeah,
This is the best chance they've got. Winning it, they're going to give me third a lot of time. To Bottle Job FC. Arsenal, they seem to fall at the final hurdle.
They do, don't they?
This Arsenal team is the best Arsenal team I've seen, probably.
Totally agree. Unfortunately, agree with you. Spot on.
And going back to the Villa game, but we'll do well to frustrate the crowd. And with Thomas Frank, that would disrupt his game plan with his tactics. But I didn't like to hard about this game. Are the tickets cheaper, are they? They're cheaper, that's what I've heard.
I think they had, I can't remember what it was exactly, but there was pressure from supporters to lower the prices before they'd even come out. And I believe they were lower than expected because in the Champions League with, not necessarily bad teams, but we played lesser teams, let's just say, this year in the Champions League at home and charged an absolute fortune for. Slavia Prague, for example, was £70 minimum for anyone inside the stadium. That's an awful lot of money, as you will know, and people know listening whether you can afford it or not. It's a lot of money to ask. And Slavia Prague, again, are a good team, but one of our weaker opponents across the Champions League. And, Bodo Glimt and close to that was away from home, but that would have been probably equally as expensive. But of course, you go away fans in the Premier League, you have that cap, don't you, as well? You only pay a certain amount, is it 30 or 40 pounds? So, that makes it a lot easier for away supporters. But in this game, I think it's lower. Again, I don't want to say a number where it's completely wrong, but I think it's under £30, for example. I don't think it's too bad, generally speaking, for fans. I think it's lower than usual.
It's not done that. I mean, so they should.
So they should, absolutely. Football be nothing, would it? Chad, without the fans, that's what's the most important. The fans is the engine room. They talk about midfield being the engine room of the team. The fans are the engine room of the team, without a doubt. So you need them, and if you're going to price them out the game, that's not a wise thing to do. And then you're going to price them out of watching it at home as well on the TV, with TV licenses more expensive and more people refusing them, and with Now TV or TNT Discovery or Amazon Prime going up and up and up, and then next year they will put it on others.
The clubs, nothing.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And the fans, they have the most power out of everyone. They should have the most power. They've got the most power.
Well, yes, because they pay the money. They pay the money. They support the club. They're loyal. They should have a biggest say, of course. Not just they should have a say, but they should also have the biggest say, I think.
Well, Harry, I'm going to go into the predicted lineups. So I'm going to get it up on the screen. You can already set me this. This is the team that we expect to face us. So, can you talk me through it, Harry? So, how will you set up in this FA Cup third round clash?
Yeah, great question. Do you want my go it's on screen now? Actually, you answer my own question. This is what I think Tottenham will go with. I think it'll be Kinski in goal, Porro right back. I think actually Davis left back and Van der Ven centre back. But either way round is applicable with Kevin Danso. I think Benson, Core and Gray in midfield, Odegaard right wing, Tell left wing, Xavi Simons in the 10, and Richarlison up top. That's what I think Tottenham will go with in terms of the major changes from, if we just think back, I'm just trying to do this at the top of my head, Bournemouth in the last game. So that was last night at the time of recording, changing the goalkeeper, putting Kinski in goal. I like Vicario, of course, is naturally suited to play your number 2 in cup competitions. It's something that's generally across the board done. I think Ben Davies coming back in there. He got actually our first goal in 2026. I think if you told him that in 2017, he'd probably laugh at you. But he was the first, believe it or not, to get that goal being a defender. And of course, like a third or fourth choice a fullback, but still, I think he'll play this game because Doggy, I think, might come this tiny bit soon. Or Doggy might be back on the bench, but I think it might come a bit too early for him to play in this one. And Spence, a left back, of course, not being naturally left footed is always difficult. So we can maybe avoid it in a game like this. And either you could be right here with how you got it. Van der Ven could play left back, Davis centre back. Again, they can interchange between the two, no problem. I think Gray will come back into the side. The only thing is, there's only one thing from this team that I can't do now because Rodrigo Bentancur has got injured since I sent you this team, unfortunately, which is not good at all for Tottenham anyway because he's
good
out
news for Villa.
Good news for Villa. Absolutely, you're spot on there, Chad. Unfortunately, he's going to be out for a little while. It looks like a bad muscular injury for several weeks. He's luckily not in the team here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Chad. And I think as well, Kudus is out till March, which is not good. So it's an awfully long time. March, April as well. Sky with the one saying April, so it could be even longer. So with this attack, though, Tell's in form, a good couple of performances. Odebear can play at right wing, hopefully offer something. Simmons' first assist when coming back in the team after suspension, missed 3 games, getting a straight red card. Richarlison is the one in form, though, for Tottenham, looking decent, hits the post when he come on against Bournemouth, and generally, looks really, really good, and he should start over
Richarlison, he's a very good target, man. If you give him the service, he can deliver.
He can, absolutely, and he's not like world class. I don't think he's an Ollie Watkins even, but I think he's a good striker. He's a decent striker. He's Brazil's number 9 for a reason. Ultimately, he gets more starts than Gabriel Jesus. He's a good striker.
Yeah, and also in that team as well, I absolutely love Mickey Van der Ven. To me, like, as a defender, he has so much pace, and also he's so comfortable. With the ball at his feet, he really adapts to playing out to the back. Also, he's attacking. He's very attacking minded. For a defensive player.
100%.
And I don't know, that's for some time. There were a lot of clubs that are linked with him. I think at one point, Man United were linked with him. There were a few clubs linked with him.
Yeah, hopefully, of course, he stays. But no, I think he's good, really good player. Great solo run against Bournemouth, but unfortunately, it was a dive at the end of it. But away from that, it was a really good run, and he's a good player and has been our best defender, our most consistent this season.
Yeah, just for centre backs, I think Daniel Marlin could cause you some problems with Dancer and Davis on it running between the centre backs. Does Davis, can he play at centre back? Do you usually play there?
He does
under left back, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a left back. Van der Ven's naturally a centre back. Davis is naturally a left back. But the reason this makes sense a little bit is because Davis played centre back under Ange, but it's only because Ange played inverted fullbacks. So the fullbacks would be like in attack or sometimes most often in midfield. That doesn't suit Ben Davis. Being in midfield, it's just not him at all. So he was playing at centre back as a result. So we've only seen Davis once or twice this season, one coming just a week ago. It's surprising to see him in that game, and we did against Sunderland. He started that game. I think he'll also start this one, and that hopefully won't be a problem. We need to bring in a left winger in this window, a left wing. Well, we do need to bring in a left winger, but I also meant left back. So we need strengthening in particular at left back, but left wing as well would be fantastic because 3 left wingers, Chad, we let go in the summer. We sold
There's a lot of wingers, that is.
Yeah, it's 3 in one position and 0 brought in. That's a concerning thing because Son was sold, Solomon was loaned, and Werner's loan was ended. So we're 3 light on left wingers, and I just can't quite get my head around that. And we're also 2 lighter at right wing after losing Brennan Johnson in January. How many do you think we brought in?
So you got a bit of strength into there then in the window.
A lot, and I don't think it'd be done. That's the problem. That's how I have the whole issue with the board and with the owners. And don't get me wrong, Thomas Frank has to be held to account for some things, but I think our problems lie deeper, in my view, than just the manager. I think it lies with upstairs. Again, that top-down approach.
The hierarchy, I think, yeah.
Absolutely.
So we'll go to the next talking point then. Also, can you get on the screen? Just get my notes and just get these notes. Okay, so you're going to talk about the next question then. So this is between Aston Villa and Man United. So after Ruben Amorim getting sacked, should Aston Villa be worried about Unai Emery's future?
That's a good question. I think for now, no, because I think Unai Emery stays for the rest of the season regardless. I get your concern in the summer. I mean, at the time of recording, currently Manchester United, well, it's not out there in the public domain what they're going to do in terms of interim basis with manager, permanent manager. All we know is Darren Fletcher took charge with Johnny Evans as assistant against Burnley, got that draw, and maybe we'll have the next game for Manchester United in the FA Cup, if I had to predict. I don't think they're rushing to a decision, but I think what they will do is after the FA Cup game, I think they'll appoint Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on an interim basis until the end of the year, then bring in either Unai Emery or Oliver Glasner. I'm not sure which one. So I think Villa should be worried in the summer.
Hopefully,
I
think Glasner. I mean, they're putting out the replacement to Glasner of it, but I'm thinking Emery goes to Man United. It'd be stupid to go there. You know, Emery, he wouldn't have the control. He wouldn't have enough control. I
No,
don't
he
think
would
Man
like it.
United, that they wouldn't give him the control.
But also, that means that Glasner wouldn't go there because he has no control over Palace, and that annoys him. So that's the thing, something to consider. They're both good managers. United, take your pick. Well, they want United is another thing. Believe it or not, players still do go to United. They are still an attractive prospect because of the name, because of the history, and they're not doing too bad either this year. And I think Ruben Amorim, that second was I don't agree with, but it's purely because his comments. Him and Maresca open their mouth, and as managers do in January, but a bit too much. And he's no longer here as a result.
Man United, I don't like the way their club is run. I think with Man United, they expect instant success, but you're not always going to get it. I mean, you're not always going to get it. And so they want to win the Premier League. But realistically, I don't think Man United to win the Premier League in about 10 years, personally.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But I think that expectation, of course, is big with Man United. There's big media focus with United as well. But even with my club, Tottenham, fans have this expectation after winning the Europa League, after reaching the Champions League final in 2019. They want to see us win, boom, now. And things take time. And fans generally across the board in football have to understand Rome wasn't built in a day. And it certainly also wasn't built overnight.
Yeah. I think with Unai Emery as well, he would struggle in a pressurised environment.
Yes.
But look at something like an Arsenal. A club like Arsenal, the pressure. But with Aston Villa, they gave him the keys to the castle.
So true. So true. He couldn't cope, could he, at Arsenal ultimately? And I don't think he'd done as awful job as some people make out, but there's no sugarcoating it. He struggled overall at Arsenal and is thriving at Aston Villa. And some managers do better when there is less pressure. There's still pressure as Aston Villa manager, great club and, proud history, proud supporters. But as you said, it's not, Manchester United. So I think for Unai Emery, I mean, this is his team, and they're doing fantastic. If I'm him, I want to stay until at least I won a trophy. Let's say you win a domestic trophy, right?
Well, I think maybe 2 years. We're not someone gets a trophy, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. But if he wins the FA Cup, let's just say this year, of course, you have to get past us to do that. Let's say you win that, and then his focus has got to be, can I somehow win the Premier League with, if I get the right back in, and let's say you finish third or fourth this year, or can I do this, or can I win the FA Cup again? So, and he's a manager that I'm sure, who he's won trophies, put it that way. And I think he won't leave Villa or won't want to leave Villa until he wins a trophy. His job will not be under threat in terms of sacking, surely, anytime soon at all. And he surely wouldn't be thinking about going anywhere anytime soon. I cannot see it changing.
He's halfway through the project. As well, he's still not finished his job yet.
Yeah, 100%. The job for his eyes, I don't know about the club at the time, but Emery would deep down believe that he can guide Aston Villa to success again. And I have full confidence that he'll do that as an outsider looking in. I'm sure you do, as Villa fans, know that he's the right manager. So I personally think that Pep would leave as well in the summer. So I think both Manchester clubs will be looking for a manager. So of course, it's naturally you're going to be worried. I think there's going to be a big turnover in managers in the summer. If I'm going to predict, I think 6 to 8 managers will leave in the summer, either just before, put it this way, 6 to 8 managers. I think will be different, like from today to the start of the new season. I think we're going to have a 3 or 4 sack before the end of the season, and I think we're going to have quite a few in the summer. People like Eddie Howe, Thomas Frank, Nuno, managers like this. I just find themselves at the door. I think new manager for both both Manchester clubs. So it's going to be wholesale changes with manager slot. Maybe also just have to see how it goes. A lot of clubs are in the situation where they go, let's deal with this at the end of the year. And I'm not even mentioning the likes of Glasner and all these managers will change.
Well, Thomas Frank, but he's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, he might even make it to the end of the window, really, realistically. I hope he does, because nothing he's done exceptional, but I just think, he deserves time. But the point is, I don't think he's just the main problem, but he is under pressure.
Yeah. Again, back to Unai Emery, I think I'll actually listen to the new book. I think people don't realise what a special bond Unai Emery has with supporters. There's also, there's sort of like a connection there, I think, for Emery and the fan base.
Definitely. I agree with you.
There's a special bond.
Yeah, that's key. You need that at any football club.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Aston Villa's squad depth. So do you think Aston Villa's squad depth is good enough to cope with congested fixtures?
Great question. I think it is, but of course, sitting here saying that, you don't know what's going to happen. Like on the injury front, it could take a turn for the worse, but I do think, yes, your squad is good enough.
Yeah. There's nothing it can improve. I do think they've got a strong bench. But not quite at the level of the likes of Arsenal and Man City. But over time, we need to improve it. The likes of, they've got better options to bring on. So, for example, the likes of Arsenal and Man City, they could put out a good second team. That's what I would like to see Villa get to that level.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a long season as well. There's not so many fixtures. The thing is, for example, if we got our key players gets injured, we would struggle. Say if Yuri Tielemans gets injured, say Onana, like Rodgers or Watkins.
Definitely.
You sort of need someone to step up who can start filling and do just a good job.
Totally agree.
And so the squad, not fit. The squad looks thin. But maybe the transfer window, it's come at a good time. I can't see us doing much business in the window due to the financial restrictions. But I'd like to see a backup maybe. Not to say that the likes of Onana. And maybe a right back as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Garcia, our right back Garcia, he's really struggled to adapt to the Premier League. He's sort of Matikashi's number 2 choice. We sort of need competition for Matikash, I think.
Totally agree.
But I do like, even though we haven't done much business yet, I do like Bogart. He's done a real good job filling in. He puts a shift in Bogart. But also Emery. He wants to learn more from Unai Emery.
Yeah, agree. I have to jump in a second, Chad, if that's all right.
Okay? Yeah. Can I ask you one more question before you go?
Of course you can. Yeah, no worries.
Okay. This one then, so I'm asking about Thomas Frank. So do you think Thomas Frank, as he's feeling the pressure, do you think he'll turn around your current form?
I believe he deserves time and back him. If I'm being honest with you, I think we lose this game, and I think he actually is sacked on Sunday. I've had this feeling for about a week,
Yep.
which is horrible. Because when I say horrible, it's not just I love Thomas Frank, and although I think I'll give him time, it's just I don't think going through another manager helps the club. I think he could turn it around, and we could
Yep.
finish by 8th or 9th. Of course, you want to do better than that, but I think that's realistic to achieve, but also it's not too bad either way. It's it's achievable. It's not too bad. Of course, you want it to be better. Would think he could turn it around, but I don't think he'll be given the opportunity to do so. Right now, I think the club are behind him, but I think when we go out
Yep.
the FA Cup, I think we'll lose badly to you. And I think, oh my goodness,
But I
that
do
aim.
like him, Thomas Frank. I'm a big fan.
So do I. Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll look at it and go, boom. Right, this just supports our decision to get rid of now.
Okay. Simon, can you give me a score prediction before you go?
Absolutely. I'm going to go with 3-1 to Aston Villa. I think you win this game. I mean, that's just me being honest. Of course, I hope I'm wrong, but you hope I'm right. But that's me being honest.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 Aston Villa win with a clean sheet. Well, thank you, Harry.
Thank you so much.
Always been a great conversation. Always enjoy talking to you.
Oh, I always love coming on. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, we're out of time. So thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, please remember to make sure to subscribe. Make sure to smash the likes on this video. Make sure to give it a share on all your socials. And if you're listening via audio, make sure to leave us a good review. That always helps. Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much, Harry, for your time. I'm going to wrap up this episode. Been Villa forever, as always. And up the Villa.